Before we get started with the show, I just wanted to remind you that if you need help with your letter of intent, go to residencyhelp.com to look at the information there, and then let me know that you'd want to work with me one-on-one at tonythepharmacist@gmail.com. That's tonythepharmacist@gmail.com. All right, let's get started with the show. Hey, welcome to the Pharmacy Residency Podcast, a member of the Pharmacy Podcast Network. I'm Tony Guerra, and I wanted to go over why I think there will be many more applications in the 2020-2021 residency application cycle. So the first thing, how are they doing in pharmacy schools, like how many students are coming out and so forth. The current data show that they should be down about 1,200 applicants for this year. So we can expect around that many fewer people in pharmacy schools starting with the next year. Now, that dip hasn't happened really in the year that's coming up right now, and the year before that, and then the year before that. Also, this year they've added an extra month for applications, and I don't know how many people will be applying last minute to see if they're going to decide to go to pharmacy school. So don't expect any kind of reduction from the pharmacy schools in terms of the number of people that are going to be applying for residency. What we really need is an alternate that is neither residency, hospital, nor retail. We need something else like straight to ambulatory or something like that, where students are getting jobs in an area that is not any of these. But right now, I expect that, first of all, because pharmacy schools will be cranking out about the same number of students over the next couple of years, we're going to see at least the same, but this is why I'll tell you we're actually going to see more. The second thing is the virtual ASHP meeting. Nobody said it's going to be virtual. Maybe we're going to have it in person, maybe not. But you're talking about a really, really crowded scenario. And one of the really great things about the ASHP showcase is when people can cross those places off the list. And that's what you'll hear most people doing. They'll come in with 30, 40, even 50 different sites that they're like, this is a possibility. And the nice thing about there is you can really, really get a sense, just like you would with Sorority Rush or Fraternity Rush, and you see a group of people, you meet them, you start talking to them, and you're like, wow, I'd really like to be here, or yeah, this is just not me. And I cannot tell you how diverse that room is. It's really cool. And I want to separate diversity within a residency versus diversity between residencies. So as a profession, I think pharmacy is one of the most diverse professions in the healthcare spectrum, because we do allow people to come in after 2 years of school. They don't have to get a 4-year degree, and then they can move on to a doctorate. I think nursing would be equally diverse as well. And so you don't really see as much that financial limitation. Now, a lot of people are coming out with certainly a lot of debt, but in terms of what you see within each program, they're actually very homogenous. So except for maybe some of the very top programs in the country where they draw from the entire country, you're going to see that maybe people are from 3 different states, or they're from one single college of pharmacy. And that doesn't mean that racially or gender-wise the makeup won't be diverse, but it's not going to be diverse in terms of, okay, we've got somebody from California, someone from Boston, someone from the Deep South, someone from the Midwest. That's really, really unusual. And there's a good reason for that. When somebody's applying for a job, they don't apply to somewhere where they don't feel like they're going to fit in. So when I came out of Maryland, I was either going to be around Maryland, I would have gone to Florida, where I had been before as a student, or I just went out west, and I felt very comfortable in Tempe, which is a suburb of Phoenix, and so I felt very at home. However, if we don't have the meeting, or the students can't have a reasonable way of cutting those numbers down, and here's the big and they continue to get funding from their schools, and the funding's, it's kind of funny. I gave you $30,000 for the semester. You gave me $500 back. So it's like, I'm not going to do I will do the percentage. I do want to know it just for fun. What is that? 30,000. So yeah, you get 2% back, 1.67 to 1.66 to infinity back. So if you get $500 from your $30,000 in tuition, then you've earned 1.7% cash back to apply to your residency application. Now, if you're not using that $500 for travel, you may still have to sign up for the session, but we saw from APHA that the cost of the virtual was 1/3 of the cost of the actual. So with all this money left over, students are going to have a ton of money to put into additional applications. Also, something a lot of people don't think about is time. That weekend takes a bunch of time. You could have put together an extra 5 applications, 6 applications, if you had that extra time and not going for the weekend. So the second reason I think that there's going to be a ton more applications this year is that with a virtual event, or an event that some people won't go to, there's going to be a lot more ambiguity, and it's going to be tougher to cut down to your preferences, and there's going to be more money. The third reason, I think, is that right now we thought, and I know 2 Indiana colleges actually graduated early, getting ready to send students out because we thought there'd be this huge need for healthcare, additional healthcare resources and pharmacists to combat COVID. Now, if a vaccine comes out in January, as it might, that would be, you would have to have like a pharmacist doing immunizations all day long. Like, that is their job. And we're going to start running out of PPE, but also, are we going to have enough supplies, needles, the swabs, all the things we take for granted, when hundreds of millions of people in the country want a vaccine at the very same time? So, barring a January vaccine, I think that we're going to see again more students without job prospects close to graduation, and they're going to kind of turn the corner as, okay, well, I'm going to go for a residency now. And we're also seeing PGY1s who are finishing their residency this year, but are kind of going into a market that is a little bit cold because, as you may have heard, coronavirus affects our ability to do elective procedures. Elective procedures are a significant portion of the hospital's revenue. Without that revenue, a lot of pharmacists end up on furlough or in worse. So unless we have something that turns that tide of the need for pharmacists in the hospital, you're going to have this backlog, just like you did in California with the mess with the CPJE, of all these PGY1s that graduated that didn't quite get a job. And so some of them might be coming back for PGY2 second time. So 3 reasons. I think the pharmacy school applications are down a little bit. They're going to have an extra month to get some more people in there, but that's not going to be for 4 years. A virtual ASHP meeting, or a meeting where there's a reduced fee, a reduced need to go, will give you not only more time, but more money to apply to more places. And I think a lot of people are going to do that. And then there's the fear of not getting it, of course. And then the last thing is the prospects for employment now are a little bit tough when you're talking about getting a hospital position, and especially a hospital position without residency. So I think the person who says, I really don't want to do a residency, it's not really for me, turns around and says, wow, if I want to keep these doors open, or have the door open for me, I'm probably going to have to do a residency, and we're going to see a lot of those applicants. So again, I'm happy to help you with letter of intent. Get in touch with me if that's something you want me to help you with. Otherwise, I will talk to you guys next week. Hey, thanks again for listening to the Pharmacy Residency Podcast. I do encourage you to go to residencyhelp.com, get on the mailing list. I'll send you out an email every Friday during residency season, but then afterwards, I'll still have a number of episodes on helping you get through residency itself. And then if you're somebody that's looking at residency in the future, I'll also have content for that as well. If you have a question, I'm pretty good about getting back to you. And if I don't have an answer, I will know someone that does. So thanks again for listening to the Pharmacy Residency Podcast. And if you're on Apple Podcasts, please do rate and review. It really matters in terms of our ability to reach more people. Thanks again.